Hello everybody once again, this is AikawaKazu. Welcome back to another Black Desert Online video. Today, I want to share with you my experiences regarding using 100 contribution points for farming. If you want to learn more about farming and its intricacies, I've left a link to Eminence's Guide to Farming in the description below. Do definitely check it out since it is very useful in helping you understand farming as a life skill. And in that guide, you also know the optimal CP to use depending on how many CP you can afford for farming. But that's where this video actually comes in a way. I personally think that anything below 100 CP commitment for farming is not really worth the while at all, and of course that depends on the objectives that you want to achieve for BDO when it comes to farming. But based on my experiences so far regarding the game, if you do anything half-hearted in the game, in most cases, the amount of view you get is going to be less than half-hearted results. That basically means that you can spend half the effort but you might not get half the result. You basically get less than half the results. So for someone like me that used 4 3CP fences for 16 plots of crops for a decent period of time back then, I can tell you that I eventually removed my fences and used my contribution points elsewhere since the results were not pronounced enough at all for me personally. Since then, however, based on how I was spending my time in the game and what I was working towards for, I eventually decided to free up 100 contribution points from my worker empire to invest into 10 CP strong fences, which allows me 100 crops worth to grow. As mentioned in many of my videos in BDO, it is very important that anything that you dedicate time for should yield more than a 1:1 benefit in terms of time spent versus gains. So let's get to my objectives with the 100 CP spent on farming. So I personally have spent some time in breeding and training horses. So the first thing that I want to do when it comes to farming is to prepare my T9 courser training materials. So for those who don't know, in the future you can get Pegasus, you can get a Unicorn, and that's basically T9 horse, a tier 9 horse. Right now, the highest tier horse you can get in the game for BDO Southeast Asia is T8. Right, so I personally have a bunch of T6 and 7s. So I have 2 T7s and a bunch of T6. I've been breeding my own horses for the most part, and I'm looking towards in getting a T8 horse in the near future before the breeding rate goes up or after the breeding rate goes up. But even before that happens, I want to make sure that I have enough farming byproduct, because you need the farming byproduct to craft this thing called stone tail fodder, which is needed for the skill training portion of the T9 courser training. And if you get it to 200% and you get a bunch of other materials, you can actually go for your what we call the T9 awakening. So farming byproduct is something that I'm working towards for my T9 courser training. So I also want a consistent way to get hearts and sharps. Alright. So if you actually play this game, ever since Hearts and Sharps was released, I mentioned back then that I didn't do farming for Hearts and Sharps because I couldn't get 100 CP back then because I was trying to do my worker empire and prepare for like imperial crafting and stuff. So it was really hard for me to remove 100 CP back then, but somehow I managed to remove 100 CP worth from my worker empire because I personally have not done imperial crafting hand-ins for the past 1 month since, as I mentioned in my video, it is actually not easy to sustain enough materials unless you do a bunch of different dishes. But let's focus on farming here right now. So farming is good for Hearts and Sharps if, I personally think, if you have enough crops to grow. So 100 CP is my benchmark. I think anything less is not really worthwhile. Maybe you can say 90 CP, I guess. But back then in my 4 3CP fences for 16 plots, I'll get like 100 sharp every 5 days. That's terrible, by the way, because you actually harvest and you harvest twice per day, and you probably prune them 3 to 4 times every day, and you only get like 1 after 4 to 5 days. That's pretty terrible. But that is the reality, and I would say that is probably the average RNG for most people when it comes to using low CP count for farming to try and get some Hearts and Sharps, but it's probably not worth the while. Alright, so consistent way to get Hearts and Sharps, and that's why 100 CP. So I also want to get farming crops to grow my alchemy lifestone. Currently I have a sturdy yellow alchemy stone of life. I want to get it to sharp, so I need to prepare around 100,000 strawberries. I actually tried it before with about 20,000. I failed, and I barely got it back to sturdy yellow again from polished. So I want to get this to sharp in the near future as well. So I'm just trying to amass about 50,000 to 100,000 strawberries before I try again. So that's another reason why I'm doing farming, as well as why strawberries, because strawberries have the highest EXP when it comes to feeding your alchemy stone for, you know, the polishing portion for the EXP. Yep. And last but not least, farming is also a viable source of silver if you know how to make use of the crops that you grow, especially if you know how to make use of the fruits, right? And the fruit depends on the crops that you grow. And with that, we actually go to what to grow, right? So what to grow and what are some of the crops that I can actually advise you or recommend you to grow for. So the first one, obviously, strawberries, as I mentioned just now. You can actually sell them for silver. They are worth a nice amount. Yeah, even though a lot of people do strawberries. And I would say that the money right now for strawberries is not that good because many people probably have the livestones that they want and they have already gotten their sturdy yellow or their sturdy livestones or even sharp livestones just to reduce cooking and alchemy time. So this thing's not very hot right now, and some people would say that you might want to just breed all your strawberries, all your crops, and then you might want to just sell the strawberry seed, because once I do this video, honestly speaking, there will be many people or a significant amount of people that will want to buy strawberry seeds, and while they are not worth a lot, right, and it's all about whether your materials can be liquidated as well. But obviously if you want to do your alchemy limestone polishing, don't, you know, just use the strawberries for itself. If not, the seeds are, I wouldn't say worth selling, but they are more likely to be sold than the special strawberry at the current point in time when I made this video. Obviously in the far future, when there are new players and more people that want to do alchemy limestone polishing for some reason, then, you know, more people will buy strawberries. I would say that they still sell pretty consistently because you can look at the recent price and the last transaction. I'm recording this video at 1:42 AM right now. The recent transaction was 1:40 AM. So it's only 2 minutes ago a strawberry was sold. So people are still buying strawberries. So that one's up to you. So you can also get Fruit of Abundance whenever you harvest the strawberries, and Fruit of Abundance can be used to craft Oil of Storms, which is used for Elixir of Detection, and also the, I would say, infamous, you know, Golden Hand Elixir, you know, the tin foil for enhancement. People buy this thing, right? I would say that people buy this thing more for the tin foil more than the luck. To be honest, I don't think people actually buy it for the luck. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, right? I'm not sure, but more people, I think people buy it for the tin foil, right? So strawberries also give you Fruit of Abundance, and that is also used for crafting Oil of Storms, which is used for Elixir of Detection. Elixir of Detection is also very useful in the game. Yeah, gives you crit damage, and the blue one you can see Elixir of Sharp Detection, very nice. And you can see only 96 have been sold, so I don't think people actually craft this enough. Last sold was actually 2 days ago. Yeah, so this one probably can't make money, I guess, or people don't craft it enough. Yeah, but this is something that you can craft for yourself if you're into alchemy like me, and you can craft your own oil. Yeah, I've tried to buy oil before personally, and if I'm not wrong, back then I bought, yeah, and it's not worth the amount that you buy them for, especially for Oil of Tranquility. But Oil of Storms, maybe because it's so cheap. Yep. And also for Fruit of Abundance, if you want to sell them directly, they are the quote-unquote most abundant fruit per se, as you can see, but they are not the rarest fruit in that sense. Yeah, the fruit that people want in the future, right, will be the next thing that I'll be talking about to grow, which is hum mushrooms. So let's go to hum mushrooms for now. So hum mushrooms not as good EXP compared to strawberries. I believe it's 4.7k or 4.6k per special hum mushroom, and it also takes around the same time to grow as a strawberry. But harvesting a hum mushroom gets you the Fruit of Magic Power. Magic Power. And this fruit is used to craft a bunch of stuff as well. And if you want to make elixirs, I believe this is also needed, and a bunch of floats as well. And sometimes you would see this being sold, I mean, pre-order for 180,000. This is what you call the NAEU veteran pre-orders, as I call it. So there are some people out there that knows the value of the Fruit of Magic Power. I personally do not know the value right now. If not, I will be able to tell in this video. I will not be hiding it, because the more Fruit of Magic Power is available in the marketplace, the better it is, I guess. But just know that Fruit of Magic Power is very useful in the future, and Sion himself, right, for those who know him, he did hum mushrooms and he had a lot of Fruit of Magic Power. And for those who are wondering how many hum mushrooms he had back then, he had 1.4 B worth of special hum mushrooms back then in his storage. I'm not even kidding, back then. And that was like, I don't think that's the final number. Yeah, but he had 1.4 B worth of hard mushrooms, so you can do the math. I think it was worth more back then, maybe 6,000 silver, but now 4,000. So it's like, I guess right now the equivalent would be like 1B, but that's how much hard mushrooms he had. And if anybody knows him, he is what I call a true NAE veteran, and I believe many people can agree with me on that. So if Sion is doing hard mushrooms, you can't go wrong doing hard mushrooms, I believe. And I believe he was doing it for the Fruit of Magic Power, on top of the fact that he was trying to get it for leveling his Life Alchemy Stone as well. And then for what to grow, last but not the least, we have Sunflower. So Sunflower also gives you Fruit of Abundance, same as strawberries. But people who grow sunflowers do it for making sunflower crates, which is mainly used for the Valencia trading buff. Whether is it Artisan 2 or Master 2 when you first get it, I can't tell you right now, but in the near future, we should have the Artisan 2 trading buff, and there are people out there that make sunflower crates. So you can also grow sunflower for that if you're someone with high levels in your trading. And you also want to bear in mind that you want to, I would advise you to grow your sunflowers at Calpheon. So your farming fences will be placed, I believe, here near the northwest of Contaminated Farm, if I'm not wrong. Yep. And you need to make your crates at Calpheon, if I'm not wrong, because the distance of the origin of the crates will determine the actual distance between like the origin location versus where you actually trade it in, and the distance money and that kind of stuff. So your fence will not be in Hado. Just bear that in mind, just in case if you make your, if you do actually harvest the sunflowers here, you can always send it to Calpheon to make the crates, but you have to wait for the sunflowers to be transported, and you don't want that. That'll be not efficient. Yeah, so there are the three main crops that I'll advise you to grow. Just one final one will be, I won't advise this one, but just know that you can actually also grow dry main grass. Yep. You can see that the seeds also being sowed, and this is actually used for various things, but I think the most notable consumable that is used with drying grass is your EXP elixir. So again, if you want to craft your own EXP elixirs for your own use, the Splendid one, or you want to train a party with your friends to make the Splendid EXP elixir party, right? Then you might want to grow dry main grass, or you can do a combination as well. It doesn't really matter as long as they have similar harvest or growth rate in that sense. Which brings us to the next part, which is where to grow, or ideally like how long do you want your crops to grow. It actually makes a difference in a sense. So for strawberries, it's about 5 hours and 12 minutes if you grow them in the quote-unquote most optimal location. I believe hard mushrooms is slightly faster, 4 hours and 30 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember that my hard mushrooms were not 5 hours. I think it was 4 hours. So for strawberries, it's 5 hours and 12 minutes. If you have optimal growth area, which is basically right here. Right, so I can't tell for the other crops, and I know that for hard mushrooms, don't really care about like where you grow, because mushroom is like a fungus, I guess, in a way. That's why hard mushrooms is good, because you can actually grow them in the desert, which is why I think back then Sion could grow them near his grinding area, which was near South Suns or outside Altinova. I can't remember exactly. So mushrooms do have the benefit as well. So for strawberries, if you have 10 CP fences, this area right here, you will always see people doing prunings over here when you're traveling between Hado to the east, whether it's in Medaya, right, or Valencia. When you come back to Hado, you'll always see people tending to their farms over here. And this area is not big enough for 10 fences. About 4 fences spaces worth is 5 hours and 12 minutes, but the other 6 is 16 hours, and you do not want your strawberries to take 16 hours unless you want maximum prunage. In that sense, you want maximum killing of pests, and you want maximum prunage for hearts and sharps, and that's the only way you will get hearts and sharps from farming. Harvesting your crops and breeding your crops will not get you hearts and sharps, for those who do not know. So I wouldn't recommend 16 hours. So if you want to grow strawberries or sunflowers, and I wouldn't recommend sunflowers in Hado because I mentioned about the Calpheon sunflower crate stuff, then you want to grow a strawberries. It's just across the bridge. You can see the bridge right here, so you do your stuff here. If you have to go back to Hado, it's really fast. It's not that far away at all, and there's enough space over here for 10 fences, and they will all be 5 hours and 12 minutes. So 5 hours and 12 minutes is if your crop is not affected by blight, or they are not affected by pests in that sense. Alright, so typically, so we go to the next part. So how long will you, or how many times can you harvest? How many strawberries can you get typically in a day if you harvest twice? So you'll typically harvest once when you first log into the game. Like, let's say you wake up and then you're going to tend to your farm. because you will leave it overnight, right? In that sense, that you will be ready to tend your farm after that. So you'll be able to harvest once in the morning, and then you go grind, you play the game, you can harvest it again. Typically around 2 harvests per day, and if you breed enough seeds to replant your entire 100 CP worth of fences, you will get around 1,000 to 1,200 strawberries per day if you harvest twice, and if you breed enough to replant the seeds yourselves. In some guides, they will tell you that you'll make more money if you actually harvest everything and you buy the seeds yourself. Strawberry. But you'll see that the problem is that there's only 80 seeds in the market right now. Maybe after this video, there'll be more people that will sell seeds instead of selling the strawberry. And the reason why there will be people that sell seeds is because there are people that actually grow strawberries or any farming crop just for the T9 courser training, which is why you will see people selling seeds as well. But typically, there will not be enough seeds. Imagine if one person that watches this video and decide to do a 100 CP farm will need 100 seeds. 10 people, that's 1,000 seeds. So there will not be enough strawberry seeds in the market. Yeah, the last time I bought the seed when I decided to do my farm, it was at 565. So it did actually go above 100. So hopefully this will help increase the amount of seeds in the market. I don't know, but yeah. So this brings us to the next part, right? So if you really want to just grow your crops, I mean, you just want to breed and harvest the strawberry, and you don't want to care about the huts and shops that you get from pruning because you find that it's a hassle, you find that trying to attend to 10 fences worth of crops is not efficient in your opinion, and just very tedious. Maybe after you do this thing for like 1 month, you're like done with pruning and harvesting because you have so many huts and shops. Then you can actually assign workers to your fences as well. And the only thing regarding this is that you just need to know that your fences are not nodes, right? So unlike your typical worker empire node where you can only send a worker to a node if it is connected to the area where the worker is originating from, know that the fences that you can assign workers to does not need to be connected, which means you can actually basically send workers from anywhere in the game. This is actually included in the Eminence farming guide. So you can actually make use of what they call free lodging. So in areas where it's a town, for example, Kaplan, for example, Glish, for example, I believe there are some, like, for example, there's a free towns, which is this one, right? You can see that there's a, you can get what you call 1 free CP lodging. Yeah, 1 CP worth of lodging. Is there lodging in this place? I believe there is. Let's see. Yeah, there's lodging. So you can actually purchase a lodging from the Ilia Island, for example, and you can actually send your worker from there, and you can typically find what we call 10 free lodging towns in the game, and you can actually send 10 workers without spending a single CP to tend to your fences, right? So you can actually save 10 CP worth of lodging per se, even though in some cases it might cost you more because of some of the prerequisite housing that you need to buy to actually get 10 lodging space worth. Just know that if you're sending workers to your crops or to your fences, they need not be quote-unquote connected. So you can send them from anywhere, basically. Yeah. So that's basically, I think, the key thing that you need to know about sending workers. And the other thing is basically the type of worker that you want to send. But if you're always around to like feed your, your workers, it doesn't really matter. You just need to worry about the amount of beer that you need to waste, I guess. But in the guide, it mentioned that you want to use green raid giants with 30 stamina. Yeah, so that's one thing to note. So last but not the least, for some tricks that you can do when it comes to pruning your crops, right? Or you can actually use what we call a control mouse trick. Okay, so it actually works for gathering as well. Yeah, for those who do not know, let's say if you kill a bunch of lamb in the sheep mountain and you don't want to run to each lamb to press, R, press R, press R, press R, right? You can actually bring out your mouse by pressing Ctrl like this, and you can actually right click crop. So you can see this is pretty far away. This is too far, yeah, but this is not too far away, right? So you put your mouse, how do you know, to do this, you press Ctrl, right? So you see this dialog bubble that pops out on the crop, you right click. So this is too far away, it's not showing any option, but this one is close enough, but it's quite far away as you can see. And you can actually prune from here, right? So if you imagine now that I'm standing in the middle of all these crops, I can just bring out my mouse, right click this, and then I prune. I can click into the next one already like this, like so, and I can prune, right? and I can like click here. So I don't have to run around to prune my crops, even though I would say that in the end you'll probably do that as well, because you have to right click the next one. It really depends on whether you want to move your character or not. Some people find that to be more convenient. For me personally, the quality of life is not that important, and sometimes you need to move your camera because some of the, for example, if you stand in the center or in an empty area around your farm, you can see the place mode will pop up, right? So I don't typically use the control mouse click trick myself, but that's something that I don't think a lot of people know, because if you actually go to the sheep mountain, sometimes people will call you a hacker. If let's say you kill a bunch of sheep like this, right, and you're here, and then they see you gathering the sheep from here. So for gathering, it works the same way as well. You can actually use the control mouse click to actually be able to gather your meat, your blood, like this, using the control mouse click, which is very cool. Look, I'm not near the crop at all. So this is something that I want to teach you all for those who actually don't know this trick. So last but not the least, just know that 100% growth versus 200% has no yield difference anymore. They changed it in a recent patch, but your yield can still be affected if I'm not wrong, because I experienced this when I did 16-hour growing of my strawberries, that there's a chance for your strawberry health to drop too low. So I believe the yield is still affected by the health of a crop, and it typically occurs when you actually do the 16-hour growth rate for your strawberries, which was what I tried back then when I tried to grow all my strawberries over here, and I think 2 fences along the river over here. Yeah. So just bear that in mind if you are trying to do 16-hour crops, that the yield can be affected by, I think, the health of the crop, which usually happens when you try to grow a crop to what we call the maximum time that you can actually grow it, because of putting it in a very least ideal location that you want the crop to grow in, so you can prune it as much as possible in that way to get more huts and shops. But I don't think that you personally want to do it unless you are what we call like just on a full-time attend to your farm. Like maybe you watch an anime, you just put your character over here and just wait for your prune to get blighted, your crop to get blighted, and then you can try to hope that you get huts and shops every time when you prune. So how many huts and shops can you actually typically expect when you actually have a 10 CP farm? I would say that at least 1 hut or shop every day, or in 3 to 5 overall prunes. Alright, so how do you know how many times you have actually pruned? Okay, for farming, it's very simple. Okay, you look at the amount of twigs and the amount of caterpillar that you get. So you'll be like, wait, what? Kazu, you only have 41 twigs and 9 caterpillar? No. Right, I've done it for a while now, so they do weigh a little bit, so you have to bring them to your storage. Where are my twigs? So I have 5,745 twigs right now and 1,517 caterpillars. So if you add them up, about 7,200 worth of pruning or pest killing, excluding the ones that I have right now. So I've done that. So that's based on the amount of prunings and pest killing I've done, about 7.2k, and I can tell you that you will typically get at least 1 hut or shop per day. You get more than that in general, but you can expect to get 1 hut or shop per day, per 2 harvests, per 3 to 5 overall prunings of 10 fences every time when you tend to your farm. So about 5 times, you will get 1 hut or shop. But there will be days where you get really lucky, and I did have those lucky days, like 6 huts and like 4 shops in a single day. It's pretty crazy. In fact, that happened on my first day of converting my CP to 10 CP fences. So I started off well, and then the next like 2 or 3 days I just get like 1 per day. It was pretty bad, and then after that you get some good days again. So just bear in mind that's about how much you can expect when it comes to the huts and shops. If not, I think that's it for this video. Yeah, I think that's about it for this video. My 100 CP farm sharing. Hope it was useful to you. As always, if it was useful to you, stomp the like button. If not, name is AikawaKazu. I stream every day as much as I can. Some days, like today when I'm recording this video, I actually didn't stream. I stopped streaming today to record this video. But yeah, twitch.tv/Kazu Aikawa if you want to check it out. And yeah, that's all from me. Name is AikawaKazu. Thanks for watching once again. God bless. And I'll see you guys and girls in the next one. Bye bye.